Hi, everybody. Welcome to the latest episode with myself and Stephen. And usual service has resumed tediously. And it's Stephen's come flying in the door. He's literally got his phone out with a list of topics. And the one we're going with first is basically titled, Are They Right for Your Business? Which certainly got my head whirling when you said it, but it was your idea. So why have you brought that one up? What's pissed you off this week?
I'm calm and
Okay.
I'm okay. This subject has really just come from a lot of discussions, maybe over the last 6 months,
Okay, yeah.
with businesses where they're looking at performance management. But what I've tried to say is, can we rewind a little bit and can we think about the recruitment process? What does that look like? Um, does it align with your values? And do you believe the right questions were asked in the first place to get the right people? And I think sometimes, and I'm generalizing a little bit here, but I do think when you have a recruitment need, there's a certain amount of pressure on the business to recruit someone. And I've seen this over and over again. I would say I've seen this over the last 2 or 3 decades, where so much pressure is put on a business to fill that hole. As much as they're saying, yeah, we want to get the right person, but they're under pressure because without that person in situ, there's lots of other things within the business that one are probably going wrong, one probably not hitting the deadlines with, and I can go on and go on and go on. So my question is, when you make that decision and then you bring the wrong person into your environment because you haven't followed a stringent enough process. You probably haven't asked the right questions. Something that I see quite often is we recruit heavily on skill and intellect and ability rather than personality, persona, character, and so forth. And then what happens is this person then comes into the business and within, I reckon, in most cases, within 3 to 6 months, you know it's not the right person.
Yeah.
Okay, sometimes you give them a chance. You might extend the probationary period. You go through X, Y, Z. And my question is, what is that cost? What is that cost to recruiting someone that you now are questioning whether they're right for the business? And then I'll even go a step further. So that's recruitment process. But then there's an orientation process that should take place when
Yeah.
someone starts, an onboarding process. So again, if enough time and effort's not put into that onboarding process, that's a surefire way from losing really good talent because you haven't spent enough time with them, you haven't got to know them well enough, you haven't given them enough space. Da, 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 da. So yeah, so it's one for me. It's almost that thing around. We talk a lot about investing in people. We talk a lot about investing in the process. We talk a lot about getting it right. But how many times do we rush and don't get it right, and then the repercussions 2 years or 3 years down the line with culture, because you haven't recruited with using what I believe is just more prevalent, is really thinking about what kind of person do you want in your organization and what skills do you think are possibly you can sort of help someone learn and develop. But what is really what are those values that are totally so important that if you get them right, you know you'll have a really great business. And I'll share a story with you, Oliver. I remember this is going way back early in my career. So it was when I was at the Early Learning Centre. So that would have been around 1999. And I remember having this massive conversation with this scientist. And he was of the opinion that if you took your best person and you started to think about what are the characteristics of that individual that makes them great in that organization, what is it? And you really tried to home in on that and really tried to understand what it was. And then you recruited to that criteria. We're not saying we want robots. What we're saying is, I'll give you an example. If you need someone that's, got that energy in terms of passion, in terms of the way they speak, in terms of the way they come together, someone that's always looking for that to deliver their purpose. There's someone that's really good at thinking about how do I find a solution to that. And so the scientists worked out these key characteristics, and he believed in his heart that if you recruited to that, you would have the perfect person for your organization.
Yeah, well, I can well believe it, to be perfectly honest, because it's one of the things that I think we both approach it in our own ways, but we're sort of aiming at the same point when we work with clients about getting the right people, recruitment, whatever you want to call it. Because I was really proud, actually. One of my clients recently had somebody on probation and said, "Oh, I think we're going to extend their probation." And the questions in the session were all around why would we do that? 6 months in, why would you do that? I know you can do it, but why would you? And long story short, they actually went back in and they ended things. And that's best for everybody. Now, how we got to the position in the first point is this person was recruited from somewhere where they should have been good because there was a great track record. And I was like, well, there's the issue, and that's a big lesson learned for them, because they're like, just because they come from big fancy something or others, I won't mention anything because I don't want to link it too much. That would mean they'll be great, and we can just work with them. But hats off to them, they actually did stop it. But that was still, as you say, 6 months of them being there. There was a long period of time between them leaving and joining, so we're probably looking at a year. Then I imagine they may not have done, but they probably use a recruitment agency, quite possibly, which I've got no problem with at all. Please don't come shooting me, recruitment agencies. But there's a fee and a cost associated to that and everything, isn't there? So, and then you think of all the human resources input that was needed, blum, blum, blum. So for me, one of the things that I do, and I know you do very, very similar, is I help people identify what they've already got. And recruitment, whilst you shouldn't use tools alone to recruit people, and you don't want necessarily them a tick box exercise where it looks like they're going to hit all these things, because skills are important. It's really important to get the character of the individual coming in, and in two stages, because you're right. The big thing is you find that good person, but if your culture's shot to pieces and you aren't doing what I'd call an induction package, that person is never going to be more engaged than they are in the first 6 months they join you, and it could even be 3 months. But they are hungry, they're keen to impress, they're absolutely focused, they'll do anything within reason that you ask them to do. And we don't make the most of that.
Yeah.
I don't really understand, because employees are an expense when they're not working well. They're a massive asset when you engage them and they're fully immersed in what you do and they believe in your strategy and your values, but they're a cost. Yeah. And therefore, I don't understand, and never have understood, why you would run through a process of costing yourself so much in inefficiencies by not doing this. So it's a really valid point, because it does crop up everywhere. I can think of another client I've got now who has massively scaled in the last sort of 12 months. And we've just been starting to realise, and I don't normally with this client get too heavily involved in the day-to-day runnings part. It's just, bloodletting process, I suppose. But we're realising, maybe we need to have a little look here, because there's things that aren't working. Why is that? And it's because, and I have sympathy for employers, because the market can be quite scarce.
No, absolutely, and I think that's the thing, isn't it?
Yeah.
That if a market is difficult and it's hard to get the right people, you almost feel like you're under pressure to just make a decision, or you just take what's on offer, and I think it is about being brave. It's about being patient. I mean, I work for a large client. I can't tell you who it is, but they are huge, and they literally ripped up their recruitment process because they realized that it wasn't getting the right person, and they did some really exciting things, and they are so pumped now because they're doing things very, very differently, and all of a sudden the type of person they get in is totally different, and not only that, the type of person they get in is more prepared for their environment because they've taken the time to get the questions right, to get to understand what they really need, what's really, really important, and how that transfers into the business when they start from day one. Because one of the issues sometimes is we recruit sometimes based on a criteria that actually is not conducive to the job that they're going to do when they start. And I think that's where the challenge is sometimes. And that's because maybe it's like a one-size-fits-all sort of process, which actually isn't right, is it? Because actually today I'm recruiting for a marketing person, tomorrow I'm recruiting for an operational person, the next time I'm recruiting for someone for IT, next time I'm recruiting for someone for visual. That process, in my opinion, the kind of the layout should remain the same, but the real nuances around what makes that role right should stay the same.
Yeah.
Also, what should stay the same is the type of person in terms of their personality and their characteristics should remain the same. Because then they'll hit the ground running, they'll be able to mold with everyone that's there in terms of the way in which they communicate, which we know is the most important thing in a working environment. That they'll be able to collaborate and things like that. And I wonder sometimes, and it's a real passion of mine because I'm all about people, and I think that it's not that the person is not right, as in they don't have the right skills. It's that you've picked the wrong person for your environment. That person's right for another environment, not your environment. So I don't actually blame the person that's doing the job that you're now performance managing. In a lot of cases, you haven't done the right job in the first place to get the right person that fits your business. But that person will be brilliant for another business.
Yeah. No, absolutely right. I think of a couple of analogies. I mean, obviously people... we were talking about it off air, weren't we, about how people say, oh, yeah, no, the staff are just crap. Is it the staff? Yeah. Question mark. Because if that's a recurring thing, they keep doing this, they keep doing that. Maybe there's a lack of clarity here, because I'm pretty confident that most people aren't crap.
Yeah.
But some people are given fairly crap orders, crap directions, crap instructions, crap support, crap management. So there's a bit of a recurring theme here. So if that's something that you are aware of, just challenge you to challenge your own thinking and think, is it the staff? Is it? Maybe. And the second is with a sporting analogy. How many times have we seen, we both follow football, how many times have we seen incredibly world-class talent go to football clubs and not gel with them and not work because they just weren't right? For whatever reasons, we're not behind the City. I'm a Norwich City fan. It happens a lot where seemingly great players don't quite seem to hit the note. And who knows what the reasons are, but the facts remain. We bring somebody in, they should do a job, they don't. So something's not right there. And it's the same thing, isn't it, really? I mean, the skills are far clearer, but again, how they'll gel with the team and so forth. Yeah. And it pains me to say it right now and there, and I hope when, in months to come, this is all over, it's all backfired on them. But Ipswich Town, our arch rivals, they have everything that we had in a period of time, which I know you were involved with Norwich City coming out of League One and then from the Championship into the Premier League when they had Paul Lambert and an amazing group of players who just gelled. Now, Ipswich Town have not got a single world-class player in their side. They're all actually pretty bang average, but I'm overemphasising that because I despise them. But I also acknowledge the fact that they are doing an amazing man management job. They are recruiting so smartly. Yeah. They have brought in players who are not good players, and they have made them really good players. And not a single player I see in their squad who's had a positive track record at another club, but they are smashing it at theirs. And it's a prime example of what can be done. And that really hurts me to point that out. But they were in a right mess not that long ago as a club. And something has shifted. They've got new ownership and things like that, and they've obviously brought in new approaches to do things. It didn't work the first time, it didn't work the second time, so they've had manager after manager, but something has gelled and they've got it right. And that is a really good example of what can be done when you recruit hard. But I bet that wasn't easy. I also bet they had to almost break themselves before they were able to do it. So their motivations to do it were because they were at rock bottom.
Yeah.
Whereas I think that's the problem. A lot of businesses aren't at rock bottom. And I have this conversation a lot with people. I don't understand people who want to have a bang average company. They just don't get it. There's a local company, I won't mention them here, but everything they do is average. And it could be exceptional what they do. But average is okay.
Yeah.
But then the problem is you bring people who just give it okay amounts. They're mildly engaged. They'll try a little bit, but you never ever get anything exceptional other than by luck or if certain people's standards are a certain type. So I think there is a lot of that. I mean, I don't know how you feel, but you could do more, but you don't have to, and therefore you don't, and you just plod and plod and plod. But I fear that that's going to become more and more of a problem for companies in the future.
Yeah, it's an interesting point, Oliver, because I think what you're talking about there is sometimes it's not until we hit rock bottom that we then put our head up and go, what are we going to do? And there's a saying, isn't there? Make sun while the sun's shining. I actually think when you're doing well, that's the time to keep doing well. So re-look at everything. Look at your standards, look at your quality, look at your processes, and look at, start to critique how you're doing things, or don't just accept it, because actually there'll come a time when you don't fail overnight. What happens is it's over a period of time and you don't see it, and before you know it, you're like in crisis. The other thing I'd like to mention at this stage as well about this conversation, I also want to talk to those people that are looking to extend their career, or they're looking to go and do something different. Don't be the wrong person for a job because you've taken something that's not right. So I also think this is two sides to this. One is about, have you recruited the right person in the first place? But the other side to it is, have you gone to a company where their values do not sit with yours, and the way in which their business isn't right for your personality? So sometimes it is about saying, is that right for me? And that's a toughie, I think, because financial situation might mean you really need a job, you need to get it going. But what I would say is, that's equally as important. This is not just about the employer. This is also about the individual looking for a job as well. That actually you search your soul, you ask the right questions, and find out, who are you, so you make the right decision around where you want to go, where you're going to be most happy. And as corny as it sounds, a very close person to me once gave me a mug, and on it said, do something you enjoy and never work a day in your life. And you know what? That is so true. And it really resonates with me today. But it took me years to actually find the thing that I really wanted to do and the thing that I really was excited about. And sometimes I wish I'd have just taken that time out earlier in my career to stop a bit and think, what is it that you really enjoy, and what is it that you really want to do? However, I will tailor that with saying maturity, experience, knowledge, life skills, all these things fall into that make you get to a point where you can make that right decision. But I also think in the world that we live in now, it's important that you do something that you want to do, because again, I don't think anyone willfully goes into something and does a bad job. I think the job might not be right for you as well, and you've gone into it, and actually you can't actually make that work because it's not right for you. But just finishing on your point that you made, I do think that the thing that sometimes hurts us all is this time. What Ipswich have done, they've recruited really good the back staff. And I know some of the people that have gone there, and they've recruited some really good, solid, sharp people with lots of innovation, people that have done things before, so they know what it tastes like, they know what success looks like. And sometimes you need those people in an organisation to go, actually, I feel really confident that if we do this, this might be the final outcome. And there's a lesson here, isn't there? Sometimes that if you all have the same goal and you all believe in the same thing, the fact that you might all be average is irrelevant, because together you are powerful. And that's what's happening in that club. And you know what? They might not even go up this season, but that doesn't matter. What they've done is extraordinary. And you have to take whether you're a Norwich City fan or another football fan, you have to take your hat off and realise that what they've done is truly remarkable, to take a group of players. And I know football. I know football very well, so I understand how it works. I've worked in football, but to take a group of players and go up two divisions potentially, okay, and still get the same outcome in where we sit now is truly remarkable. But what they've done is taken their time and they've recruited the right people based on what they needed to do, based on personality, energy, because the energy there wasn't great. No. The energy there was flat, and they knew that to bring people in that had the right character, the right personality, and the right energy. Sorry to really upset you.
No, I see it all. It's all very irritating. I'm just very glad it took them over 14 years to do it. But and I have to just say that they did mess up their little cup final, didn't they, at Portman Road? So we've got at least that. But joking aside, it is impressive. If it was, I've said this many times, because there's only really one club that I can't get on with in the whole of the Football League, and it is Ipswich. And if it was anyone else, I'd be thoroughly enjoying watching what they're doing.
Stop that! Give it up.
They're getting in the way, aren't they? They're interfering with clubs like ourselves, I suppose. But certainly the top three, the way it works now, the three relegated teams are normally the three teams that go back up, and they're interfering with that. So well done to them. He says twitching and uncomfortably. But anyway, unfortunately, we've overrun time, so we need to stop quickly on that one. But I think that's a really good point, a really good episode. Certainly something that people need to just pay far more attention and respect to. So any final points from you?
Yeah, for me, it's, don't be rushed. Take the time, but do your work beforehand. What type of person do you want in your business that's going to work? The type of person that, is going to breathe new life, carry on with the values that you've got and make it work. Do not rush it.
Yeah. Excellent. All right, well, that's a meaty one again, and I hope you've enjoyed that, particularly if you're an Ipswich fan. And we look forward to seeing you on the next episode.
Bye for now.